anything out of the ordinary? Anything at all before that last hitch?
I don't know. Jason and the guys went gambling at L'Auberge Casino in Lake Charles right before their last hitch. BP was paying the bill. The bar bill and the room charges were outrageous. The wives were all there. Most of the downtime was spent in the casino. Jason learned craps. I found him gambling at the table, and there he was betting $20. I said, Jason, we need that $20. That's a lot of money. You can't get that back.
Place your bets. Dice around.
$20 on a hard 8 with a new shooter.
25 on a hard 10.
50 on a hard 6.
5 and 9.
10 on hard 4.
6 and 8.
Hard 8!
Press it on.
Give it to him.
Another hard 8!
He's on fire.
He won. That never happened again. But as long as he kept playing, the beer was free.
And if I get stoned and drink all night long, it's a family tradition.
The staff at the casino still remembers that night. The guys were all drunk and having a good time.
Why would BP send those men off to gamble right before that last hitch?
I guess they were blowing off steam because they were all really stressed about this job. I just didn't know it at the time. I didn't know it because Jason never told me about any trouble on that rig. When he was home with me, he was home with me, and he didn't talk about the rig. But I do remember this. On the ride to the airport the next day, Jason drove the truck. Usually I drove so he could sleep, but that day he wanted to drive. And before he got out of the truck, he looked at me and he said,
Shelley, if anything were to happen to me out there on that rig, would you and the kids stay in the house?
Jason, you're scaring me.
Just tell me.
Well, probably not. If I met someone else and remarried, I wouldn't do that. You're all over that house. That house is your house. It wouldn't be fair to the new man. And then I said, but let me be clear. I don't want a new man, okay? I don't want a new man.
Well, that's good, because I don't want to look down from heaven and see you making love to no new man either. Especially not in my own house. That would kill me twice.
And we both laughed. That was so Jason. He made me laugh every day. That's a good reason to get married. And then he just looked at me, and he smiled that crooked smile with his eyes barely open. As an offshore wife, you understand the risks. It's a high-risk job. Life or death. We all know that. But you never think it's going to happen to you. Not you, not your guy. Your mind just tells you he'll make it. He'll make it through.
I think about those 11 men and listen to their wives talk, and that could be my wife, too, because I spent my whole life in this industry.
Bob B., engineer and a former offshore rig man.
I've worked in 72 countries, and I've lived in 11 different countries, so I know this business pretty well. Matter of fact, I helped bring this industry offshore, helped design and build some of those structures that you see out there today in the Gulf of Mexico, like an oil city on the water. They called me the Boy Wonder because I designed and built one of the first offshore rigs. I was the Boy Wonder, all right, until it blew out. We had to learn how to turn failure into success. That's a good trick to learn. But if you really want to understand the oil industry from the inside, feel its heartbeat, the person you ought to talk to is my good friend, Lillian Miller. She's part of my team. Industry professionals helping me to investigate what went wrong out there on that rig. Tell her I sent you. She lives in Lafayette. Interesting woman, spent 7 years offshore, a former roustabout herself, just like me.
Lillian was there to greet me at the door. She walked me in, and on her dining room table there was a map of the Gulf of Mexico. I noticed that her hands looked much older than her face as she pointed to the spot where the Deepwater Horizon went down. She said, "This is it, Mississippi Canyon 252. This is the precise location of the Macondo well. That's where the Deepwater Horizon was located when the blowout occurred. Right here. 48 miles offshore, that's Macondo. Otherwise known as the Well from Hell. The name Macondo was taken from the Gabriel Garcia Marquez novel, 100 Years of Solitude. Oh, all the wells out there have names. Bet you didn't know that. When I started out my career offshore, the only place a woman could work was in the galley. The kitchen. But I was going to change that, and let me tell you what, I did. My first